Boom. Okay, we're live. What is going on, everybody? What is going on? Um, Already been cheered up by the comments as I'm reading them. People really feeling that tune. I'm glad you feel that tune because I love that tune. Um, so yeah, the energy feels really good. We got 59 live already, which is nice. I think that'll grow nicely. And just a bit of a spoiler alert, I'm not here by myself, as you probably gathered by the title of the video. I'm here with the lovely Nuvia Nada. Hello.
Greetings. Hi. Greetings, everyone. I'm really nervous, so I'm staying a bit quiet right now, but
All right, fantastic to have you.
Yeah.
Now, before we get started, I'm gonna have to do a bit of an audio check. Okay, I don't know how it's sounding. I'm getting echo, but I always get a weird feedback. So just let me know. Am I clear? And Nadia, just say hello to everyone and just give a bit of an audio hello. Oh no, she's frozen. Are you frozen? Are you still there?
Hi. Hope everyone can hear me okay. I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here.
Don't know what happened there. Everything froze up. I think it's me. Give that again, if that's okay, Nadia. Sorry, Nada.
Okay. Okay. Hi, hi. Hi, everyone.
Is everyone getting Nada's audio okay? And is it all coming in a nice single stream? I just let me know. Give me some feedback in the comments because I'm getting double up in my headphones, but I can ignore that if it's just me, basically. So let me know, how does it sound for you? Say, just put in the comment, King, you sound good. Nada sounds good. You're good to go. Let me know, please. I'm keeping my eye on a live chat, so you need to let me know. No feedback? Okay, good. Thank you, Patrina. Oh, echo. Yes, echo. Who's echoing? Let me know who's echoing. Is it me or is it Nada? Clear but echoing.
Let me
Is it
speak
both of
again,
us?
maybe.
Don't change anything yet, Nada, because it could be me. Let me know. Is it me? Is it both of us, or is it Nada? Let me know. Don't just tell me echo. I know it's echo. Please let me know who it is so I can hopefully try and sort this out. Please, please, please help me sort this out. Okay, King OK, Nada echo. Okay, so Nada, you do have an echo. I think I've got this weird delay thing going on, which is really, really annoying. Let me try this because this worked last time. And then bringing it back. So, Nada, I'm going to ask you again. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm really excited to do this reaction video, definitely, because this has been on my mind for a long time, and I'm ready to get into it, really.
Super. I don't want to sidetrack you either. I've tried one thing. I've clicked on something and it's either totally muted Nada or it's going to have solved it. So, sorry, Nada, to do this to you again. Because when we live stream, we did, by the way, we did a test run through, everything was fine, but I just know this from experience that this can happen. So do let me know. Nada, I'm going to ask you one more time. So just give a little bit of an intro about who you are so that everyone on my channel kind of knows who you are. Okay, pause there. Sorry. Can everyone hear her? I'm so sorry, Nada. Don't worry, we're gonna get there. I know it's. I promise you, we'll get there. Could everyone hear her there? Was it Nada just talking and you lot couldn't hear anything? Let me know. Muted. Okay, so that didn't work. All right, so family, it looks like unless I can figure something out last minute, you might have to put up with a bit of an echo. If it was me echoing, I'd know how to sort that out because it's Nada echoing. It's coming in twice. Wait a second. Let's try that. Let's try that. So let's how do I get rid of that one? Maybe. Nada, could you say something again? Sorry.
Hey, hello.
I'm gonna hope that's it. If that isn't, then guys, you're gonna have to just put up with it. I'm afraid, because I'll be out of ideas at that point. I think I've done what I can. If it's still echoing, it's okay. As long as it's clear, you can hear her. Just have to. You need to mute when she speaks. I don't think that will solve it. I could give that a try. All right, I'm gonna try that one. Someone's asked me to mute when you speak, but I haven't got my speakers on, so that normally would be an issue, but it shouldn't be. in this case. But I'll give that a try. So I'm gonna mute.
Check one,
Check
two,
one,
one,
two, one,
two,
two,
one, two,
one,
one,
two, one,
two.
two.
Did that help, or was she still echoing? Because I was muted just then. Try replug her from the end. Oh man, this is annoying. This is really, really. Let me think.
It's okay. I guess it's good that this is live. I guess it's good that this is live.
Yeah, this is 1 second. I'm just flipping through a few pages here and hoping that when I come back, it lines up your audio a bit better. I don't know what it is, to be honest with you. I've looking through the audio settings because I have a feeling I know what it's doing. It's kind of feeding your audio in twice. I can't figure out why. Okay, let's have a look. Here's an idea. 1 second. If I do that. Hey Nada, tried
Hi.
something else there. Oh, that sounds better. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
I think that might have solved it. I think that might, guys, let me know. I'm a bit excited here. Sometimes it's the little things, but you get there in the end. I think that might have solved it. I think I had it coming in twice. Let me know, guys, if Nada sounds good now. So I'm going to run this back, okay? We're at the start of our stream. I'm going to believe everything's good now. So we're going to get kicking now, okay? Because I think that has solved it. Someone said perfect. Boom. We're in. We're in. Yes. All right.
Oh,
Fantastic.
great.
All right. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. Don't worry. That was what, 6-7 minutes? Cool. It's a no big deal. All right, so we had 6-7 minutes of kind of like working, getting it working, but we are working now and we are flying. So thank you everybody for joining us. And this is a really, really special kind of occasion for me and hopefully for Nada as well. So on the channel, I have with me Nubia Nada. If you're not subscribed to her wonderful channel, please do get subscribed to it because it's a fantastic channel. I'd love to give you an overview of what she does, but I don't feel like I'll do it justice. So let me ask you quickly before we dive into what we're going to be doing today, Nada. What kind of stuff or things do you try to cover on your channel? And really, what are you trying to communicate on your YouTube channel?
Really, I communicate my truth, and I think I try and put that in a way that is digestible for everyone who can relate to this itching of wanting to know the truth. I'm growing, I'm developing with my page. It was kind of spontaneous when I started it, but I feel like there's certain truths that we all need to kind of be exposed to. So yeah, that is me in a nutshell. But I guess in my lifestyle, I'm obsessed with astrology, metaphysics, history. So that's the kind of things that I share.
Superb. By the way, I'm getting lots of positive feedback here. I've already had about 3 or 4 saying how amazing you are. So clearly my community's very enamored about something about you. I mean, I will also kind of reflect that same energy because I think when I saw one of your first videos that I saw on YouTube, I knew instantly that I wanted to connect with you. So for those of you who don't know, Nada is a Nubian Egyptian. She's of Nubian Egyptian heritage. And I knew straight away, look, if I'm going to be doing, researching into Black history, our history in ancient Kemet, I know for a fact that I'm going to need to connect with the people in the land. And so it was really fantastic to see someone who was not only based in London, I could tell instantly from the accent that she was London based, but also a Nubian Egyptian. And also, I felt from the first video that I saw from her, I hope you don't mind me communicating this way, but I felt a burden. I felt the burden of something that was very large. And I can only communicate that as something that I have seen and a kind of the energy that I have felt across the many Nubian people that I'm very kind of like very privileged to meet. There is a very large burden, and you only understand that burden when you start creating content or you make a channel like this, because obviously I can't understand that burden. I'm not Nubian, but when I created this channel, I was like, wow, is this what our people in Nubia are up against? This is humongous. This is, where is this all coming from? This is madness. So connecting with you and connecting with other people like yourself has really helped me to get a first-hand appreciation of what it means to be a melanated Black African in Egypt in this modern day. And you communicate it in such a genuine way. It's a real privilege being your friend. And I know you kind of like reflect the same back onto me, but I want to make sure that I communicate to you that I very, very much value our friendship. It's something that fills me with energy and confidence in what I do, because there's one thing knowing that you're supported, which I do from this fantastic community, but also knowing that I'm supported right there in the very land of Kemet by the people who I call the indigenous, ancient Egyptians, it fills me. I can't tell you what kind of energy that fills me with. So I appreciate our friendship. I just want to say that.
I appreciate you and your content and the way you deliver it. It's like it's definitely been a blessing even in my journey. So um yeah, I don't know how else to really express it, but you have been able to put things in words that sometimes I just can't, and it's so valued. Like really, I've said several times how much I really do appreciate your content, because I think I'm quite a I feel things a lot, so sometimes it's a bit difficult to put things into words, and to have people like you in the community who are so dedicated to truth. It's really I wish you all the best always in this journey, because it's not easy, and you do have to kind of battle other external energies that try and push us away from that truth and knowing exactly who we are as people. And it's a great honor and blessing to know you, like truly. So
Thank you, and I'll say this unequivocally: you don't just, you don't just say it. You do very much show it, and I think that's one of the most important things. We support each other, and I think if this is going to be one of the things that I think has dawned on me is that this isn't going to be a path of inclusivity. And so essentially what that means is that I don't feel that we're going to get to a stage where we've evolved the world's approach to our history. I just don't see that happening. I don't think we're going to get to a stage when they suddenly turn around and accept the truths of our history and go, oh yeah, you know what, you were right. We were lying all along. It's true, you are the real, ancient Quebecs and Europeans and this, that. I don't think we'll get there. But I think the place that we're destined to get to, we're already kind of halfway there. And that place is the place where we understand who we are. And as long as we understand who we are and our people understand who they are, then this is a very big world. It's a world that is big enough for more than one education system. It's a world that's big enough for more than one spiritual system. It's a world that's big enough for more than one of all of these systems. We don't have to, you follow your system. Hey, look, if you like following your Eurocentric history that paints the world like this, go ahead, have at it. Keep yourself warm, like I said yesterday, for an old Shakespearean quote. Keep yourself warm. Do it. Because we know what our system is. We know what our history is. And I think that that has to be something we do together. We have to do that together, you know. So, and we need everyone on board. So even I think one of the things that is really important to highlight here, and I know most of my community will know this, is that there are Kemetic people in Egypt right now. There are black people in Egypt right now whose ancestors are Kemetic, who practice Kemetic principles, who, in spite of Islamification and the pressures that came from being conquered in 1300 AD by the Arabs and this, that, and the other, have remained resolute and have remained connected to the land. One of the most really kind of eye-opening comments someone left for me. Actually, no, it wasn't for me. I swear it was on one of your videos. That first video you dropped, I can't remember exactly who it was, but I feel like it might be someone called Afrospora Films, who's a friend of mine who I kind of connect with in the comments. It could be him, but I could be wrong. So don't quote me on that. But he said, I think he's married to a Nubian, if I remember correctly, or he's adopted Nubian children. I can't remember, it's one or the other. And he spoke about the fact that on that side of his family, they used to, for want of a better word, worship at the tomb of Ramesses. They used to honor the basically the path of the sun, and it used to fall directly. This is before the flooding of the Nile and they moved the temple. And they talked about when the temple was moved, it no longer aligned perfectly, and it kind of affected. And I was like, to these people, a lot of these people, this is just history. You know, this is just, you know, to UNESCO, this is just heritage. It's, you know, it's all these things. But actually, to your people, this is life. The Nile remained life. The Nile remained the place that you were connected to. You were never disconnected from the Nile. And I think it's really important that people understand that that connection is an unbroken connection. Yeah, so sorry, I don't know if you want to add to that.
No, I totally agree. I mean, you know, that it's so deep. It's so deep. Like, even in my own journey, I'm learning so much, even myself, and I'm trying to share it the best that I can. But knowing that my grandparents used to bathe in the Nile, and they used to harvest from the Nile, and this lifestyle has been just completely stripped from them, it's really something that is hard to process. And you know, there's been a long history of this suppression, and I think this is why I was really excited to jump on here and do this video, because it really did resonate deeply with me, because our culture and the way that we live our lives, especially when you speak about the spiritual practices and stuff, this does really heavily lay in the Nubian spirit. I mean, through our traditions and customs, it's just so, it's really difficult for me to put into words. And I think that's why with the video, it kind of helps me express it. You know, a lot of this lifestyle had been taken from us, and you know, Nubians were forced into desert, dry lands with no access to water, no jobs. We had and have our own language systems, our own schools, our own communities, and our farms and our lands were taken from us, you know. And then on top of it, it's this identity that has been ripped from us as well. It's really deep. Like, it's just, it's almost like the, in my eyes, it's almost like the world has been brainwashed. And
Yes.
even in my own
Yes.
journey, I've had to justify that I am from this region, and it's almost insane to me, really. And
But even we've been brainwashed, haven't we? This is the deep thing. It's like when you communicate your story, it feels like like the Nubian story is like a microcosm of the story of the melanated person globally. You know, we all have, you know, they say as above, so below, you know. I feel like what's happening in Nubia is just kind of like a really
yeah,
small, condensed version of what's just happened to us everywhere. We just don't know who we are. And everything that was ours is being stripped from us. So we're just kind of floating around like these disconnected beings with little scraps of our kind of like our history and where we came from around us, and just we're kind of picking at them and we're formulating this story that's kind of forming in front of us. But I guess on a positive note, I feel like the acceleration of our understanding and the acceleration of our knowledge of our history has really intensified. Like I've been on this journey for many, many years where I've, you know, been reading, been a researcher, bought books, you know, more books than I can think of. But I can tell you unequivocally in the last 2 years, the amount of change that I've felt internally in terms of my connection, my knowledge, my connection to my history, ancestors, but also what I'm witnessing is making me feel very different. I feel really different now. You know, like I'm witnessing this is not something that we have to really worry about too much anymore in a weird way. I feel like, listen, 5 years time, just to put a kind of very conservative figure on there, in terms of who we are in the melanated community in Africa, across the world, diaspora, we're gonna know who we are. I just feel like we're all gonna know who we are. So, and it just won't matter. It just won't matter like what the kind of the physical limitations they're placed on us, because that, I think that connection is gonna just drive us forward. Don't know, maybe I'm being overly optimistic. I'm gonna read out a comment really quickly before I bounce back to you. It says, "Hey King's Monologue, thank you very much to that ninja who has donated $20. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you." It says, "Hey King's Monologue, I know this is currently irrelevant, but this guy makes a lot of good points, and I want to see if you'd like to do a reaction to his video or watch it on your own accord, or whatever you are happy with." I don't know if you're gonna post a link for that guy. It wasn't included. Let me have a look. Sorry, just want to see. For some reason, sometimes my chat just doesn't update, darn you. It's not scrolling. There we go. Okay. I'm just looking down to see if you've left the link for that. I can't see it. Lots of positive feedback coming. Thank you, Queen, for keeping the truth alive. I know you're taking a great risk and we greatly appreciate it. We do. And I think actually on that note, I'm not going to dwell on this point too much, but I once again just want to kind of like hand you a real note of thanks and respect. First of all, for vocalizing your kind of struggle, because I know that there are hundreds, if not thousands, of Nubians who want to do the same, but who rightly so are very fearful. And I think obviously you recognize your degree of privilege like I do, in that when you're raised in the UK, you're not right in the midst of that danger and that persecution, but it is very, very real. So I just want to give a note of appreciation for that, because if you didn't tell this story, even my entire approach to this channel would be very different without you. You have to understand that without kind of like you being a real example and a real kind of like, oh, okay, there it is. there we are. My approach to the channel would be different. You know, I might have this kind of very closed off, no time for anything coming out of Egypt kind of approach. But you've shown me that no, there's our people there. There's you know there's people that need to be respected there, and there's a culture that needs to be approached very, very delicately. And that kind of leads on quite nicely to what we're going to watch, which was the documentary that I produced. And I was very, you remember, I was very fearful in putting this documentary out, I wanted your feedback first of all. And I've been very fearful in the entire subject of how I approach Nubia, and this is one of the reasons I haven't touched on it very often, because I feel like this is not only obviously it's very real, but also what kind of that community has been through has, it's just heartbreaking. But it's what we've gone through as, Black people, but it's very uniquely heartbreaking. But at the same time, I wanted to make sure that I approach it and don't make errors, and approach it with real respect. So I kind of did reach out to you before I posted it up, and you gave me positive feedback, and that gave me, once again, like I said, gave me the confidence to say, okay, I'm good. I feel happy. I feel confident that I can release this now. So yeah, once again, thanks for that. Just before we dive in, I just want to kind of get your feedback. What was when you watched it, what was your thoughts? What was your feelings around it?
Uh, God. So when I watched it, honestly, transparently, it really got me very emotional. I felt I, I felt a lot of energy that I'm not a fearful person. So when you touched on fear, I'm really not a fearful person, but it was an energy that has been the fear that I had to overcome is something that was screaming out of me. So I felt a lot of pain, and the best way that I can describe that in my journey is I feel my ancestors. I feel them. I feel them through me, and it's when I watched it, I had to cry because it it was as though I was feeling all the pain and all the rage and all the anger and all the neglect and the screaming into the void, but it was there, and I can see it, and I could then feel it, and it was pretty overwhelming because when you really look into Nubia and you look into the culture and what's happened in that region over these few hundred years, it's like this ghost town. Like you can't really find too much, and it's really, when we say it really does take us now as the collective, as the family, to really start pushing out and speaking out this truth that's been hidden from us. And I do have that privilege. I have that privilege that my parents didn't get to have that privilege. It's just so close that it does bring out a lot in me. And that I've sent it to a lot of my Nubian friends as well and family, and they love it.
Do
So
they?
that, yes.
See,
Yes.
that warms my heart. You don't understand that. That alone, I'm telling you, man, that absolutely warms my heart. Thank you for sharing
Yeah,
that, man.
they love it. And I'm really, really grateful for you. And I'm really excited for more people to watch it, more people to learn and understand what's kind of happened, because I think we all have this feeling of this, how they've tried to brainwash us, and it's each one of us is very unique, and we need to share these stories and we need to share these experiences. And I think for Nubian people, and the length of the silence, and then as well as this break of us knowing the truth, like you were saying earlier, I feel like it's time now. So
Absolutely.
but yeah, I'm
No,
excited to.
that's so heartwarming. Thank you. Um, yeah, that's that. I'm telling you, that's I think the knowledge
And
that you've done a people justice. I think yeah, that's a really good feeling. Sorry, go on. You gonna say?
I know I got some of my Nubian family right now watching, so I just wanted to say
Amazing.
thank you.
Well, you're all very welcome. Make sure you get subscribed to the King's Monologue. I mean, so much of my work is see, the thing about it is, yeah, I have to admit this, and I don't care. I'm gonna say it. I'm incredibly. I've got I'm incredibly hostile. People probably read comments sometimes and they think, why is this guy commenting back to this guy who's clearly a troll? And I can't help it. I don't know if it's ancestral, but I'm really like hostile when it comes to like Eurocentrists on my page. I just don't have any time for them. I'm not, and they don't seem to get it. It's like, I'm not, my channel isn't here to make you feel comfortable. It's like they have that same mindset like they have in the UK. You know, when you kind of like go into a workplace and they think that you're gonna try and impress them, and it's like, I'm not here to impress you. In fact, you can take my coffee cup and go and wash it. Yeah, that's my mindset. Yeah, I'm not here to impress you. You should be impressing me. So I get all these Eurocentrists and they make these comments, and I'm just really hostile. I'm like, look, if you don't like the channel, then expletive off. That's me personally. However, I'm the exact opposite when it comes to like anybody who's African giving me feedback. Honestly, I've got all the time in the world. So I take a lot of critique. So I'm really, really, really open to critique. So when people come on my channel and they're like, oh, you got this wrong or this, that wrong, or oh, you got, I'm like, yeah, cool. Like, I really feel like I've been placed in a position of service over kind of like the melanated African community. Like, that's what I'm here to do. I'm kind of like here to serve you. And I'm very kind of like I'm weirdly open to criticism, and sometimes people are like, you don't have to do it. I'm like, well, it's not gonna be any harm. Let me let me find the time to do it. I don't know why I just said that. It's just kind of something that just came to mind. So yeah, it's really great, like I said, to get the feedback from, like you said, your Nubian community about this. That just, it makes me feel amazing. It's like, that's where I get my energy from. I get my energy from my people. So yeah, that's how I roll. A big thank you to Jonathan, who's just made a $5 donation. You'll get to know Jonathan. He's our resident geneticist. He reads papers and breaks them down, and he really does some useful work, which I occasionally have the chance to read all. He does really, really long posts, but they're normally quite good. And he has opened my eyes to a few things. So thank you, Jonathan, and thank you for your service to kind of like keeping us enlightened as well. It's much appreciated. Quelamika's in the chat. He tried to kind of like just sneak in, but you're not gonna get away with just sneaking in. Wesker's in the chat. Oh yes, okay, we got a good crowd. 186. Wesker, let me just say something really quickly. Please do not have any patience or tolerance for anyone coming here with negative attitude. I'm not on it today. So please feel free to just like ban people if they come on in here and they post anything negative. I'm just gonna put that out there as quickly as we get started. So thank you everyone. Quelamika, very much welcome. Wesker, thank you for coming and administrating, because I can't do it for some reason. It's just not working. So let's get cracking. So synopsis for today is very simple. We're going to watch the 1925 documentary. It's not very long, and we're going to kind of do a, thank you, Wesker, and we're going to kind of do a watch and respond. So yeah, feel free to, tell me when you want me to pause it, Nada. Just kind of like signal me, like, or just say something and I'll pause it. If not, if I want to say something about a certain point, I'll pause it myself. So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing today. On a really, really quick one, I just want to kind of give the thoughts of when I went in to do this documentary. So this documentary really is just compiled of two sets of footage I found from 1925 and 1940 that was filmed in Egypt. And when I saw this footage, it just kind of like, I was just watching, I was like, all these people were on the YouTube page making all these comments, all these Egyptian people, which is absolutely fine, making comments, oh, thank you for showing our history, and they're all like really filling up the comments. And I was like, well, yeah, that is good that they're showing this history, but guys, you are clearly seeing what I'm seeing here. Like, we're using the same eyes here, yeah. These are Nubians, yeah. Let's not. If you're gonna say thank you for all these things, I hope don't just leave comments on this thread. Why don't you go and thank these people whose land you flooded for preserving the Nubian culture? Because for me, I could see it was almost like a dichotomy. I could see two kind of like groups in that footage. I could see one who were preserving the actual rituals and the practices of the ancient Kemetics, and then the other group who were just kind of like in Cairo and in Alexandria in the markets doing what they do today. And I was just like, the one who are preserving the culture clearly, who are connected to the culture, clearly are Nubians. So can we give them that respect? So that was why I did the documentary. I was like, well, let's just bring it to light, let everyone see what I'm seeing and see if they agree. And clearly, like I said, you agree, and lots of your Nubian friends agree. So it seems to be right. So that was a quick sentence. Go on, jump in. I'm just going to quickly put say a quick shout out to this £10 donation. First time I'm hearing how a real Nubian feels about all this invasion, Arabization, and Europeanization. Pardon my grammar. Going on. So touching. This connection is great. Africa rising. Thank you. What a lovely comment.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, San Femzi, for that. Sorry, go on. You're gonna say I
There's
kind of
a
cut you off there.
there's a lot to get into in that comment, and you know how much I have been wanting to scream out things, but I'm trying to just stay to this video at the moment. But really, there's a lot. It's very, very deep. It's very deep all over the continent. It's very, very deep, and I think we have to remember we are indigenous people. We are indigenous people. We have connected with these lands, and in ways that, you know, it goes beyond having a dominance of religion or race. And we have to really know who we are, and reprogram our minds, and relearn a lot of things. But yeah, there's just a lot in that comment that just, yeah,
Absolutely.
trying to say.
You know, it's funny because yesterday I did my those of you who joined me on the live stream yesterday, we were doing the old dictionary walkthrough. So there's my 1827 dictionary. And it was funny because words came up. So it's funny you use the word indigenous, because the old word for indigenous is aboriginal. So they used the word that didn't used to be just restricted to the Australoid people, the Australians. It was actually Aborigines globally. And also the word native, which we now kind of say, oh, well, someone's from there. That just meant you're born there. That's all it means. Doesn't mean any deeper than that. So to be a native, you could just be born there. But to be Aboriginal means that that's the land of your ancestors. So, you know, I guess in some ways you're the Aboriginal Egyptians in many ways, you know. Let's get started. I think let's get started. That's enough intro. And what a great chat. I mean, we could probably just chat like this all day, but let's start the video, and that'll be good. Okay, the video that has disappeared from my folder. So bear with me as I just quickly pull that up. I was gonna stream it, but I know that's just gonna invite all kinds of problems. So I'm gonna try and play the downloaded version that I've got, which should make more sense in theory. Boom, 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 boom. If I can find it. Oh, here it is. Disappeared and reappeared again.
100 years ago, Egypt was a completely different nation. In contrast...
Can you hear it?
I can hear it, yeah.
Okay, superb. Okay, I'll bring it back again. Brilliant. Okay, let's go.
100 years ago, Egypt was a completely different nation. In contrast to the bustling metropolis cities that have become synonymous with this now Arab nation that is dependent on its tourist-fueled economy. Back in 1925, however, we see an Egypt still steeped in the embers
it's a
of
bit low on
ancient
my side.
traditions.
I don't know if you can turn it up.
Ah, yeah, the volume might be a bit.
I'm hoping
How's the volume for
it's
everyone
good.
else? Let me know. Let me pull it up fully here. Community, just let me know if the volume is okay for you guys. I think I'll wheel up and come again. Wheel up. let me know. I'm just gonna wait for a little bit of feedback to see what the volume's like from that little snip that I just played. They're about 30 seconds behind us at the moment. They've said yes, they can hear it good. So I'll play it again. Hopefully it'll be loud enough for you. Let me know, Nada, okay?
Okay.
Everyone's good. Everyone said the volume's good, so let's go.
100 years ago, Egypt was a completely different nation. In contrast to the bustling metropolis cities that have become synonymous with this now Arab nation that is dependent on its tourist-fueled economy. Back in 1925, however, we see an Egypt still steeped in the embers of ancient traditions, with the true descendants of the Kemetic culture still practicing an ancient lifestyle in the same way, 4,000 years after these practices were first etched in stone. In this beautiful footage captured by the Metropolitan Museum of Art, prior to the explosion of global interest in ancient Egypt and subsequent urbanization of Cairo and Alexandria, much of the ancient Egyptian culture was under the custody of those indigenous southernmost Egyptians.
I'll just pause it there really quickly, because one of the things that I wanted to point out as well is a lot of people probably noticed that, but if you look at old photos and old footage of even like the Tomb Raiders, like, you know, Howard Carter and all of those people, they would always seem, I don't know if it was literally Nubians who'd be with them or just really dark Egyptians, maybe some of the Beja people, but there will always be with literally people with my complexion, like really dark skinned Egyptians. I don't know if it's something that you noticed, because obviously now they're never with the really dark ones. Now they only ever go with the kind of the fairer ones.
No, so literally, if you Nubian, right, Nubians, there's more Nubians that are of darker complexion than there are of lighter complexion. It's just that the cameras are not on them. And if you go to regions like Abu Simbel or Komombo, you will see a lot of these darker skinned Nubian people there. But there's been a lot of, it's hard to say. There's been mixing, but there's also been things that have happened in these regions. If you know the history and aware of certain things that have happened, even in my own ancestral veneration that I've seen and witnessed, and it's, yeah, I think there are darker Nubians, but there's people who also have married into different cultures and all of that as well. And you know, it's really the spirit of the people and the connection, and you know, it's so hard to put in words, but
I think it's
sorry.
No, you go on. I mean, I was just gonna say, I think it's very normal as well. I think one of the things is across African culture, it's very normal. Most African cultures they kind of like forward an effort to remain endogamous. Okay, so they'll try to say, okay, you know, please marry a Nubian. Or my parents say, please marry a Yoruba. You know, they try to, but the reality is, it's rarely exercised in any African culture. So the reality is that there is going to be those that have a relatively kind of like unmixed bloodline, but then there's going to be loads who just don't, you know, and that's just so normal. It doesn't matter which African culture you go to.
Yeah.
In fact, one of the things I was saying in one of my previous streams is very rare you're going to meet kind of like a pure-blooded anything. So anyone who goes, oh yeah, I'm Hausa, you maybe Hausa for like 3 generations. I guarantee you go further than that. Someone's mixed with some other ethnicity or some other group. You know, it's just the way Africans roll. You know, that's the bottom line. We all end up being this kind of. So really, it's about for me, rather than bloodline, it's more about the preservation of culture than bloodline,
Yes.
because bloodlines just, you all mix. It's just nature. I think that's healthy. In fact, I always talk about the fact you don't want these really narrowly bred, exogamy is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. But yeah, so go on.
Agree. I totally agree with that because you know it is in many African cultures. It's just that it's the removal of the Nubian culture. Even in terms of land, agricultural lands, and knowing where all over the continent that these things have. It's, yeah, it's a bit more when you look at the
You
cultural
cut off
side that
there
we're
for a little
losing
bit.
as
Sorry,
people.
just
Then
could you bring it back about 10 seconds? Because you just went, I think your internet on your mobile went a bit funny. Go on.
that's fine. Um, it's it's more about the cultures and the indigenous ways of life that we have been losing all over the continent. And to claim, you're right, we are so mixed as people. We have to always remember that we are very, very mixed. Whether you know you we even as Nubians don't even refer to ourselves as Nubians. That's a name that has been put on to us, and it's something that we've adopted, and
Yeah,
because of just the region and understanding history at the same time. But it's not something that we would have called ourselves.
absolutely.
It's a name that's been given to us. So it's hard. Like you have to understand that our connection to the earth is more vital than our physical appearance. Ultimately, I believe, and
Absolutely.
this goes to, if we even look at the state of the world, besides all the nonsense with these wars, but when we look at our climate, our earth, how it's shifting and changing, and a lot of these different shifts that are happening all over the world. And I feel as though we've been so disconnected from our indigenous understanding and our lands, um, that we all as a collective have to start nurturing it deeply. And that's why for me I resonate a lot with the Kemetic spiritual practices, because I understand the root is nature, and I feel like we take it for granted and we don't really realize the connection that we have to it.
Absolutely. I mean, just to touch on your point as well, you made earlier. You talk about the fact that you've taken on a name that you've been given. Well, look, you're talking to a Nigerian. What's a Nigerian? You know what I mean? What's a Nigerian? What's a Ghanaian? And I know there was a kingdom of Ghana, but that is not the current. But the entirety of Africa has been given names that really we have no connection to. But I'll still call myself proudly, I'm Niger, Nige. You know what I mean? Like we'll wear the badge proudly. So we will adapt to the names that we're given. But it doesn't mean that necessarily those names have any kind of like ancestral meaning to us. So yeah, I'm so glad that you touched on that point.
And you know what? There's definitely a deep, deep connection there, because there is so many Nigerians, or there was many Nigerians, or is, depending on the situation in Sudan, who knows at this rate. But there's so many mixing. Like there's Nigerians in Sudan, there's Sudanese people in Nigeria. So funnily enough, we are still just as connected as we've always been. It's just that we've just not really been able to see each other for who we are. But we're changing that now,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. I mean, even I think I'm not sure if I expressed this to you before, but even my mum's tried, and I found this out the other day. So my mum's from Ilesha, and the Ijesha people have a group in there called the Jebu, and Ijebu is basically the Yoruba pronunciation of the word Sheba. So it used to be called Jebu, the land, and basically they trace their ancestry to Sudan, and they've got very kind of clear, like, this is the city we came from. I think it was Awu. I can't remember the name of it. Awadai. So I don't know if you know that city, but it's called Awadai.
I don't know, but I'm gonna look it up. This is like incredible, and it's amazing because, you know, I feel like there's been there's been a strategy to disconnect us, and it's that time is over, and I'm definitely not here for it anymore. We are so connected. And, you know, when did these start coming into play, and how, and what is continuing to be hidden from us? I'm not allowing it. Like,
No, definitely.
no.
All right, let's watch on. And see where we go.
Typical villagers are these aging patriarchs. Although many generations removed, it is possible that the blood of the pharaoh still courses the veins of these dark-skinned natives of this land of antiquity.
Those black African Egyptians, who are today called the Nubian Egyptians.
Okay, I think I've lost Nada. Have I lost you, Nada? Okay, so Nada, if you're online, just reconnect again. I think I've lost. Just disconnect and reconnect again. I don't want to watch this video without you. I've watched it plenty, trust me. So I don't know if you're still there, Nada. Just disconnect, reconnect to the stream again. Let me see if I can close you down, actually. Oh, you're back. I can see you now. What happened? You disappeared. It could be my stream. I think my stream looks gone a bit funny. Oh no, I just closed the wrong thing. I need to just. Can you see me? Can you hear me? I've disappeared, haven't I? No, it's only you on the stream. Okay, sorry. One moment. Let me see if I can get that open again. Okay, that's one thing. Video settings. One moment. Yeah, I'm just trying to get my stream going again. Everything just fell over for a second there. Can you hear me okay? Yeah. You can or you can't? Fine. I don't know what happened. Okay, no, that's cool. You've frozen again, but I don't think it's your problem. It's really weird. It might be the streaming software that I'm using, you know. It's gone a bit funny. Let me, I definitely have lost the screen. Okay, so that's screens. Okay, so yeah, let's hello. Did you do anything there? Because I can see you good now.
You can see me.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Let me just see why the screen share is not working anymore. How do I close this window and just open a new one?
Someone said the distance between Nigeria and Sudan is massive. It's very unlikely. It is massive, definitely, but so during the war in Sudan, a lot of Sudanese people had to work as a network to literally make sure that their family is safe, because a lot of the humanitarian aid was not being able to get through. So a lot of these people as well were Nigerian people, because they had a lot of family in Nigeria, and there is a big population of Nigerians in Sudan.
Yeah, but
So
I mean, I don't even understand that comment. Like, so because the distance is big, what I don't. What's the implications of that? Is the implications that Africans aren't able to traverse a long distance or something? I don't understand what exactly is the implication there. It's a bizarre one because the distance between any two nations is large, but humans inhabit the entire world. So if people have a very clear, you know, and credible story about their kind of origins, well, I don't understand why you would discount that. That doesn't make any sense to me. If I'm going to be totally honest, the Sahel is a travel. What does it say there? Let me read out completely. The Sahel it's disappeared. Oh, I've lost the comment. No, here it is. No, it's gone. Yeah, I can't find the comment. Maybe it's for the better. But I mean, yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me. To be quite frank, that sounds like that old. No, well, black people can't cross the Sahara. But then when you get to examples of multiple ethnicities that not only live in, above, and below the Sahara, they just continue to kind of like harp on the same. No, I'm not really hearing that. I'm aware of the distance. It doesn't, we know for a fact that even the ancient, the pre-dynastic Egyptians carry a lot of Southern African Khoisan blood. That's a bigger distance than between Nigeria and Sudan. So, you have to measure that one, and you have to also explain why there's so much Nigerian DNA all over that region, and there's loads of it. So there's loads of Nigerian DNA in Egypt, in Sudan, and this is DNA that dates back as far as you want to go. So yeah, that's not really a suitable argument to make. So go on.
yeah, people need to also understand that really never we didn't have borders, one, and two. When we look at Kemet, it was a metropolis. Just like any major city that you see today. Just like, I'm very fortunate to know you. You're Nigerian, and I'm Nubian or indigenous Egyptian, and you know we are able to connect. We have to think about how that was a reality and a norm for us.
Absolutely.
We're not as divided as we think.
And I think people want us to be divided. And on that note, actually, can someone just block Master Falcon? I don't even know why you're here. Sorry, Wesker, if you're still here, just block Master Falcon. Block him for the day. I don't want to hear from him again. Like I said, I've got no patience for people who just come to, disrupt. So just block him. Don't want to hear from him anymore. Yeah. So let me just see if I can get that. Thank you if someone's done that. Let me see if I can get my stream going again. My disappeared video, which is really annoying. Boom, 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 boom. Why can't I hang this up? Oh, I know. If I just click on share screen again. Okay, stop sharing screen. Boom.
Oh, holistic cam, amazing work. This is what we need to be hearing and seeing. So much love, peace, family. Thank you.
Thanks for being patient, guys. I know this isn't ideal. I don't know why it's... It's not giving me the option to stop sharing the screen. It says stop sharing. I think this software's just crashed, Let me give it a reset. Yeah, let me just refresh this page. Maybe that'll work. Okay, so I've given the page a bit of a refresh, and I'm hoping that kicks everything back into gear. Okay, you're there. Now I'm going to add myself. Okay, boom. I'm there. hope it's not doing that echoey thing again. I have to remember how I got rid of that. No, that should be fine. And then let's share the screen again. Entire screen. That's the one. Share. Boom. Okay, we're back. Sorry, yeah, my software completely crashed. We still got 251 live, so not too many people lost interest. Let's carry on watching our video. Okay, super. Alright, I'm clicking on the play.
Were in those days not restricted to Aswan. Modern Nubians state that in these times, the dark-skinned or black Egyptians never referred to themselves as Nubians. But sadly, much like the wider global melanated populations, they have had this label thrust upon them by those desperate to benefit from this modern economic caste system. Indeed, they remain distinct from the urbanized melting pot populations, their notable Africanity, which is expressed in their pastoral.
So something going on. My audio is very loud. Don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why my audio has gone really loud. Just turn it down a bit. Oh, I'm coming out of there. So if I mute it here, can everyone still hear me? Can you hear me, Nadia? Nada. I don't know why I keep calling you Nadia. Sorry, forgive me. All right, cool. I think that's good. Let's play it back. I think we should be good. Sorry.
Oralist cultural practices, and a local penchant for adorning themselves in gold. This was punctuated by their continuation of Nile Valley practices that weren't reflected by the non-Kemetic populations.
By the way, I got that from you. The gold part. I'm sure we had a conversation about that, and you said that was one of the differentiating factors.
Yeah, gold, like even if you look at Sudanese culture now, gold is very, very, very important in how we express love as well. It's very normal for a woman to receive
Better buy me
a
some
lot of
gold
when she gets married. Yeah. But it's because it's so abundant as well. Like these lands are so abundant. I hear feedback, by the way, so I don't know.
Oh, I think I've got to figure something out. Okay, maybe if I. It's really annoying. Doing this last time worked. So annoying. Like that. Does that work? Can you hear me still?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Is it quiet or is it okay?
Yeah, that's better. I can't hear it.
Still got an echo. This is gonna really annoy me. It's just going. This is going from bad to worse. But I'll talk less. Maybe that'll solve it. No, this is not good. Look, it's already looping. Maybe if I just put no audio on there. Can you hear me now? You can't, can you? See, I think they can hear me on the stream now, but you can't hear me. This is the annoying thing. So I can't turn the audio off. Sorry about this, guys. I'm guessing you can hear me now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I keep getting this. I keep getting this weird feedback, and it's very annoying. Okay, let's just play it and hope for the best.
As one draws toward the Delta region and Alexandria, in this remarkable footage captured nearly 1 century ago, you will observe the undeniable preservation and continuation of ancient Egyptian tradition by its indigenous African population, who are in modern times known as the Nubians. One of the most observed...
I'm still getting feedback. I don't know
Um, do you think would it help if I jump in and out?
why. Maybe, do you want to try leaving and come? Have you turned up the speaker or anything in your end?
No, just for my headphones, but it's still feeding through here.
Okay. No, it's not you then.
That helps.
I don't think it's
Let
you.
me try and jump in and out.
Okay.
I'll just give it a go. That's fine.
Let's see. I'll do what I can do my end. Okay. I can't hear any feedback now. That sounds okay. Just wait for Nada to join back. Thanks for your patience, guys. I know this isn't ideal. So annoying. I don't know what's happened. It's just gone. We had it all working and then it went all belly up. No, I haven't got any YouTube pages open. Good idea though. Just gotta wait for Nada to come back and then we'll carry on with our video. Okay. I think she's back now. Hello.
Hi.
Okay. I think it's still brought back a bit of an echo, but I don't want you to leave again. Yeah. And you definitely haven't got me coming out of a speaker, have you? I doubt it would be that loud anyway if you did.
No, definitely in my headphones.
Okay. So let me change your audio settings. We'll see if I can. Headset microphone. Were you using the headset mic all the time?
Yeah, the whole time.
Okay. So maybe I'll... Hello? See, I've muted you and I'm still getting the problem. So that's not gonna solve it.
Yeah. I can hear you, but I don't know if it's picking up on the other side.
Turn this up. Hello, hello. You can hear me okay, yeah? Nada, can you hear me?
Who are in modern times known as the Nubians. One of the most observable cultural differences between the ancient and modern Kemetic populations is the attire. More than just the influence of Islam, it seems the increasing desertification of the region has influenced the native Egyptians to lean towards a more Sahelian, Saharan dress code.
Just really quickly on these guys. I think I sent you their name. They're a band. Did you check them out? They're amazing.
Yeah, I did. They're incredible. They
Yeah.
are incredible.
I want to give them some props. So
see if I
if you can find them, send me the link. I'll put the link inside this chat because these guys are an amazing Nubian band.
Really good.
Really fell in love with their music, man. They're rocking. So let's plug them and get some views as well.
Definitely. I'm gonna put them in the chat literally right now.
Oh, thank you. Thanks so much for that. I'll keep playing.
That is reflected in many native African Saharan dwelling groups. In fact, the native African Egyptians are almost indistinguishable from their nomadic African neighbours, the Tubu, who reside in Libya or Sudan, donning similar thobes and turbans.
On that note, actually, sorry, I'm going to stop a lot of things now on because I'm going to ask you. Turbans, this is really weird because, see, turbans is something I always associated growing up with Asians because I grew up in a very kind of Sikh / Hindu mixed kind of area. So I always grew up around a lot of, and I always associate turbans. But actually, when it comes to Islam, and correct me if I'm wrong, but when it comes to Islam, turbans seem to be an African thing, because it's not really something that I've ever seen. I've lived in the Middle East. I spent time in Qatar. They wear thobes and dish dash and everything and this, that, and the other. And even kind of like in and around Egypt, they've got their different kind of like headpieces. They kind of wear the kind of skull cap thing. But turbans, is it just me or is that feels like an African thing?
Yeah, definitely. It is definitely an African thing, and it's 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 so funny because when you look into it, you see the migration of people as well in terms of the Indus Valley, and when we've had our discussions about things in terms of like the dams and these lakes, even in other parts of the world that have been created, there are temples and things and artifacts that have been lost, that have removed us from the Asiatic world. And when you see things like this in the culture, like the turbans or even the henna, a lot of people in Sudan and Libya put henna on.
Because that's something that I used to see Hindus doing a lot. So I always thought that was an Indian thing, the henna. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so the henna is something that's actually dated back straight from Kemet. So it's been in that region for a long, long time. So yeah, we are connected culturally. It's just these other barriers, but the turban is definitely an African thing. Henna is definitely an African thing.
No, that's actually amazing. Because it's something, it's just something that dawned on me, that because I was doing a lot of kind of like research about the Moors and stuff like that, and I just noticed actually there's no reason, 'cause every time I see it, it only looks right on African people. I was like, actually, there's a reason why this is. So I've just realized in this region, I'm only seeing melanated people wear their turbans in this way. So it took a while for that to dawn on me that turbans is an African thing. Which is really weird. But yeah, no, thank you for kind of confirming that. And I just want to read out a comment really quickly from that ninja again. Thank you, because he made another $10 donation. He says, here's the name of the video. YouTube won't let me post the link. It says, New Whitewashing Egypt, Dr. Michael Brown and Henry Abramson using fake pics to teach history. So we'll check that out. I will search that on YouTube when the stream ends, and I will give it a watch, and I'll give you some feedback. Yeah, thank you very much for that. I'm just going to quickly have a blast through the comments as well, because I feel like people are saying a lot, and it would be nice to just give a kind of occasional like, yeah, glance before we get started again.
Yeah, I totally agree. I keep trying to read them.
No, that's fine. Yeah, outside of Islam, a lot of people wear turbans. Yeah, I thought so. Forgive me for using this term. We know. Let's endeavour to use them in our daily speech. Yes, I know what you mean. Someone just kind of like corrected me about using, the term Nezet BT for Pharaoh, and people do correct me about terms a lot. And I'm gonna be totally honest with everyone here, that I do it deliberately. And I had this conversation with you last time I spoke with you, because if we always spoke in specialist terminology, what happens is it'll be great for people like you who are well schooled in what I'm talking about, but it would alienate a whole bunch of people who just don't know what those terms mean. So it's almost like the conversation we were having earlier about the fact that you've accepted the fact, maybe not accepted, but you've embraced the term Nubian and you just kind of get on with it, if that makes sense. So it's kind of like, I know I shouldn't probably be using the term Egypt or Pharaoh or this, that, and the other, but I know that out of the 100 people that are on this stream, 99 will understand those terms. Whereas if I go to really specialist terms, then I'll alienate a large part of the community. But I want to say that you are correct. So I don't want to kind of like Jehuti, I don't want to say that you're not correct. You are correct, but I just want you to know there is kind of a method to the madness, so to speak. So I do try to kind of like mix the terms. So I'll switch between Kemetic and ancient Egyptian, not because I don't want to say Kemet, but because a few people will start to get lost if I only use the term Kemet, if that makes sense. So that's one of the reasons why I do it. But yeah, that was it. Should we go on?
Just to touch, that term Nubian, for people who might not know, because again, like you said, there's terms that people will use and might not really understand it or dived in the rabbit hole, but the term Nubian was given to Nubian people because of the abundant gold that there is in these lands.
Indeed.
So they would say this person is Nuba because they come from this particular region and gold is there. So it's not.
Yeah.
I think that I just wanted to add that.
It doesn't mean black. Yeah. Here's a kicker. Yeah, because I was going through this yesterday on the live stream. Nothing means black. Here's the thing. What happens is they start associating it with black because it's a region full of black people. So Nubia etymologically comes from the root term gold, or nub, which means gold. Yeah. Then we've got Sudan, which means black now, but comes from the root term sud, which means south. Then you've got Moor, which means black now, but comes from the root term Moor or Mer, which means water, because they were seafaring people. Then you've got Negro, which everyone says, oh, well, Negro definitely means black. No, it comes from the Niger River, because they were called the Negritos because they were around the Niger area. So that region of the Niger is why they started calling them Negritans first of all. Then they started calling them Negroes, but then all the Negroes were black, so it became black. So you've got all these terms we associate with blackness, but they all have meanings. They all have powerful meanings about where those people came from originally. So it's really important that we remember that. But yeah, so that was a great point. Thank you for bringing that up.
You just took it out the park right there. So that's good.
Now, I've learnt a lot of that recently as well, but it just blows my mind because I've just found how few words actually mean black when you look at them in their root. But yeah, anyway, let's carry on.
As a means to manage their desert climate. Perhaps this adjustment was equally a climatic as it was socio-religious adjustment. According to tradition, prior to the flooding of the Nubian plains, the population relied on the annual inundations of the Nile for subsistence. This is proven by this footage which shows an unbroken dependence on the Nile valleys, rich soil for sustenance, and a deep cultural connection to the land surrounding the Nile. The introduction of the camel into daily agricultural life is also a post-dynastic adjustment, one likely influenced by the migration and infusion of nomadic groups from the east, such as the Beja. These desert-adjusted beasts of burden inevitably became too practical to forsake.
do you know what's so heartbreaking about this
Yeah.
particular point? Because like I have grown my own food, and I realize how much of a beautiful connection when you see a seedling grow and you see the beauty of literal magic that we can create with the earth. Right now, that has been stripped from a culture, and it's actually been a difficulty for people in that area to grow food ever since these things have been built. It's kind of like we've put whether negativity in them or whatever, or they're that side of race and situation. But when we really think about how we've we're putting ourselves at a loss, our children, our great grandchildren at a loss by removing these essential things that we need to sustain and survive. So yeah, that knowing that my grandparents literally used to grow food on the Nile, and that's just not possible now
It's
in
so
that region
sad. It's
of the
I think
earth.
it even like harkens to the conversation that we were having about the excellent work that remind me of his name. I was telling you about him last time we were speaking.
It, I got it
Doctor,
in my
oh gosh,
notes.
I wish I could remember his name because I want to kind of put people onto him. But he's wrote a book called Modern Frauds. I mean, oh gosh, if anyone knows his name, please put it in the chat because I want to give him his props. But he's doing a lot of work, and he was speaking about the fact that life, it's literally everything. And there's a reason why the greatest civilization in the history, or at least in modern history of man, came out from that region, and that's the Nile. And they will tell you that themselves. That's written. The Nile is the reason that these Nilo-Saharan people were able to thrive. And destroying the Nile, that's irreplaceable. So it's just, yeah, sorry, it's just a really good point that you raised there.
Yeah, I think his name was Emmanuel Ampin.
Ampin, that's it. Ampin.
I hope
So
I'm not
yeah, it was. I'm not sure
butchering
if it was
it.
Emmanuel, but it's definitely Ampin. You're right there with the Ampin. Was it Emmanuel? You might be right. You might be right. But anyway, check out Dr. Ampim's work. He, like I said, has got books that I'm trying to purchase at the moment. And he's got excellent research on YouTube. Really, really credible sound guy. And he's doing work right now on the ground in Nubia. He's been there for several years. I'd love to get him on the show. If anyone knows him, by the way. So it's a quick little, if you know Dr.
Manu
Ampim.
Ampin.
Manu Ampim.
Manu
Thank
Ampin.
you. There we go. Boom. So Manuel is probably right because Manu's short for Manuel. That's in Nigeria. Called, yeah, Manu is short for Manuel. Yeah. Okay. Go. Let's carry on. Thank you for that.
The mud brick architecture that has cultural continuity in modern Nubians was employed extensively and universally in ancient Egypt. However, the non-Nubian populations of Egypt remained oblivious to these ancient architectural techniques. This practice, like all remnants of ancient Egyptian culture, was a Nubian practice likely viewed as a primitive African behaviour.
And I just want to quickly add on that one, yeah. So that point actually shocked me because I saw people doing the mud brick building. And I knew obviously that Nubians mud brick standard. That's like that's their form of architecture. Is how they build. But it was really interesting when I actually went in and I did the research. And obviously I got introduced to Mohammed Fatih, who's that architect who kind of like revived mud brick building in throughout Egypt. He's not Nubian, but he had to go to the Nubians to understand the technology. So that was just like, well, if you're talking about mud brick building, which is, managed to get that footage, they just kind of like glanced over it. But this is Nubians using exactly the same tool. Exactly the same tool they use in ancient Kemet, literally shaped exactly the same. So identical processes we're talking about. This is real preservation of culture. It was just so nice to see that continuity.
Yeah, yeah, and it's you know, when you go to Aswan and into that Nubian areas, you still might be lucky to see some of these houses, and the way that they're decorated with so much color and life. When I guess when I had my detachment through the years, and then I understood, even in my personal life, how important it is for me to see colorful environments to raise my vibration. I see how us we have all of us have this really innate connection to things on a metaphysical level that we might not even be fully aware of, but it's still there and it still fully lives within us and in our culture. And it's just quite the fact that a lot of these villages now, for a massive region, if anyone on here would like to see my video that I did, it actually shows a sizable map of how many villages were destroyed by these man-made reservoirs and lakes things. And
Indeed.
yeah,
Yeah, it's very frustrating. It's very frustrating, I have to say, you know. So yeah, and it's the I don't want to be pessimistic, but the I think the most angering thing is the fact that it's almost like it's ongoing. It's like they're not satisfied with what they've done. Like you always said, even in Sudan, they're trying to continue this kind of like insane lake building for ridiculous for hydroelectric, where no one gets flipping electricity from hydro. Like Nigeria's got hydroelectric dams and no one gets it. Like NEPA has never taken electricity from a dam in their life, but they still manage to build so many of these dams and have that excuse to flood, create so many of these floods in these artificial lakes. And it's just
this is the
it's
thing.
infuriating, you know.
How is there still communities, if hydroelectric dams work, how is there still communities that are not able to have electricity? And how then are we taking people away from their lands, destroying their resources, their homes? Even if we look at Congo right now, people are being displaced and killed over resources or whatever they. I just don't understand how we can allow these things to happen when ultimately there is no real benefit to any of us collectively, whether you are Arab Egyptian, Nubian Egyptian, from the UK, from America. Like, these things are going to be affecting our children, our grandchildren. And how much longer are we going to destroy indigenous cultures? And it's not,
Absolutely.
you know, it's not just the Nubians, but it's many people around the world. Many indigenous cultures have been destroyed. And we have to remember that.
Yeah. And I think I mean, it's once again like the conversation we're having before. It's like the parable of like I said, the parable of Solomon with the baby. And he's, you know, Solomon gives the baby, and he says, you know, two women are arguing over a baby, and he says, whose baby is this? And they both say it's mine. So he says, okay, I'm gonna cut the baby in half then, and you can both have half each. And one of the women is like, yeah, cut the baby in half. It's fine. We'll have half each. And the other one was like, no. Let her have the baby. And that's what this reminds me of. It's like people who are willing to destroy the land just so they can lay a claim to it. People who are willing to watch it burn or to watch it flood just so they can lay a claim to it have just proven that they don't belong there. So anyone in Egypt who backs the building of these lakes, Lake Nasser, the Aswan Dam, any of them, you've proven that you are not from the land. You have proven it. Anyone who's happy for one statue to be flooded, one piece of antiquity to be lost, one ancient lifestyle to be destroyed. If you are an Egyptian and you are to that, no one who that is their ancestry, that's their soil, will be happy to see half of it be destroyed so that they can lay claim to the half that remains. You know?
And I have to speak about Sudan because, you know, there is such a radio silence about Sudan. And when you go to Sudan, or when you even go to this southern part of Egypt, you see how people take care of the Nile there. It is cleaner. There is, even when the war started in Sudan and people had to flee into Egypt, people were cleaning up after themselves. We take care of our homes, we take care of our environments. And but if you've been to Egypt, you'd see that along the Nile, you'll see where it's been disrespected. And that, knowing that this was a metropolis for all of us, and knowing that we all have this connection to the Nile, and this is something I always say, we all have a connection to the Nile. It's almost a great disrespect. And, you know, we have to really look at ourselves. If we love these cultures and we love what the influence that it's brought on us, and it's brought so much, just the reflection of the Nile in itself is something to tell the people. We have to really do better.
Absolutely. And you know what it reminds me of as well? I remember when in the tail end of the war against Libya, for a long time now, since the Timbuktu manuscripts has kind of resurfaced, you've had this kind of like movement and groups of kind of Eurocentrists and Arabs, like they always do, will try and lay claim to that thing that belongs to Africans. You know, so you had these Arabs say, you know, because Arabic script is used in the Timbuktu manuscripts, this is our history. So you had all these people who have, you know, have got no connection to Timbuktu from the north, yeah, claiming that it's theirs. And Africans in Mali, rightly so, ignoring them, saying, you know, it's fine, this is our history. The moment there was unrest in that area, what was the first thing that those people did? They went down to those libraries and they tried to burn them down. And we lost so many Timbuktu manuscripts, a lot of people don't realize, at the tail end of the Libyan war, because, you know, Arabs were streaming in and trying to burn these libraries down. Like, what's the motivation there? What is the motivation there? Do you understand? This is you it just, I don't know, the behavior speaks for itself. It's bizarre behavior to want to destroy another person's antiquity. And you even see that, like, even when you saw during the Iraq war, yeah, even during the Iraq war, you had these Iraqis going in there destroying these ancient statues, you know. So it's kind of like, well, you're clearly not of the soil, because, like, it doesn't matter which religion you are. You just can't go in there and destroy the work of your ancestors. It doesn't matter if it's pagan or heathen or this, that, and the other. You just, you respect what the ancestors have created. You know, it's bizarre behavior, man. I really can't put my finger down on how it all happens. I don't know, but anyway, let's play. Because we'll stay on that subject forever and we won't get to the end.
The native African Egyptians never stopped using these techniques. In more recent times, the wider Egyptian populace began to adopt these building techniques when they learnt that, far from being primitive, this architectural method is sustainable and tropically optimized. According to Virginia Emery, mud brick structures offered better interior climate control than equivalent stone structures, providing more comfortable living and working spaces. Mud brick construction was easily modified and expanded upon, allowing for the allocation of space and the adaptation of spatial arrangements in a fashion that stone could not accommodate. Esteemed Egyptian architect and developer Hassan Fathi, who revived sustainable mud brick architecture across wider Egypt, did so only after being trained by Nubians in the process of this sustainable building technique. The native African Egyptians had preserved this African building technique unbroken for at least 8,000 years when we have first evidence of such buildings in ancient Nubia.
I'm just going to pause it there because I think I've lost Nada again. So I'll wait for her to reconnect before I start again. Hope you guys are still with me. Thank you for joining us on this stream. How's everyone doing? I'm going to take a little bit of time actually while I'm waiting for Nard to reconnect to see if I can hit some of these comments. Haven't had a chance to stay completely on top of them. Boom, boom, boom. Turbans are perfect covering for heat and sand. That's a very good point there. So get that up on the screen. So that's a really good point. Just reading through the comments, see if there's anything else I want to respond to. That's quite an old comment actually. Blimey, I'm well behind. Nigeria has over 250 ethnic groups. Yep. The most populous, politically influential being Hausa, Fulani, Yoruba. Yeah, that's all correct. A veritable metropolis is Nigeria, certainly. Darth Skywalker said it's infuriating to know the. Let me just quick. I'm just gonna see if she's trying to contact me on my mobile. Yeah, she's trying to get back in, so I'm just gonna keep on talking for a little bit. It's infuriating to know the Remit, which is obviously the Kemetics, are still alive and kicking in their homeland, and the world pretends Arabs are the people who created Kemet. They even try to claim Tar City and Nabda Playa. Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to claim it all because inevitably all of these places are indelibly linked. And what's happening is, bear in mind, as we African historians and historical researchers are uncovering the truths that, Diop mentioned and Diop raised and Diop gave us about the connection between, ancient, what we call Nubia now, or Kush, and, well, Nubia is different. Nubia is actually part of Kemet. That's the amazing thing. But let's say Nubia, Kemet, and Kush, this kind of like ancient connection that existed between these nations. As we're uncovering that, they're going to need to claim more and more. They're not going to be able to just stop. So first of all, it was just Lower Egypt, then it's Lower and Upper Egypt, and now they're going to move into Nubia and then Kush, and then they're going to have to claim everything, because ultimately you can't just claim a piece of it, because we are doing the work that is linking the culture. We are doing the work that is linking, the linguistics, the etymology, everything about it, the we're proving that they're the same people. We're proving that there's a cultural and a physical and an anthropological continuity between these cultures. And so they have no choice. They have to claim everything. It's all or nothing for them. But in my view, they're just losing credibility each time they try to extend this further. They should have stopped at Lower Egypt, essentially. But now they're going to try and move into Upper Egypt. And then, these up, and they just become easier and easier to disprove the further they stretch their ridiculous arguments. So, yeah, let them carry on trying to claim, because to be honest with you, like, they're the ones that are losing ground and losing credibility. Okay, I still haven't got her back yet. I hope it's not my thingy-mabob. Let me just quickly message her, see how it's going. I would definitely need to get some new kind of streaming software when it comes to sharing my stream, because this is not the best setup in the world, I'm not going to lie. I constantly have problems with having guests on. I wish YouTube had a better built-in setup for having guests on. That would be much better for me, to be totally honest with you. Okay, I don't feel there's much more in the comments. You guys were having conversations, but I don't really feel like I need to be a part of them. Okay, she's still trying to get back in. Let me refresh the page, and hopefully I might make it a bit easier for her. So you might lose me. Yeah, you might lose me temporarily, but we'll see how it goes. Feel free to AMA me whilst we're waiting for Nada to get back. Cool. Nada's just messaging me at the moment. We'll see if we can get this wrapped up. Boom, boom, boom. Gotta refresh this page actually. Okay, so I've just run a little refresh there. Do not like my head being looking that big. That needs to end right away. Let me do a screen share. Extreme close up. There we go. Okay, so screen share. I've refreshed. I hope that makes life a bit easier for her to get back in now. I don't want to finish. Sky King said, "Don't mind us in the chat, TK, and we're just exchanging words." Well, thank you for your patience. We're not finished yet, guys. I don't want to finish yet. I know I'm losing a few people, but Nardo hopefully will come back. We just lost her in the stream, so I didn't see the point in playing back a video that I made without her. See, I appreciate this comment. She said, he usually said we need an army of archaeologists, anthropologists, Egyptologists, historians. This will require people to sacrifice their lives for the, I think that's supposed to say, good of African people. But you know what? I feel like it's happening. Honestly, I do feel like it's happening. And it might feel like a small thing, but content creation is I'd say a small or miniature version of us kind of owning our own media. And I really do view this channel like that. I actually view it like I view what I do as a channel, like an actual literal television channel, a media channel. And the more content creators, independent researchers, historians, geneticists, all of this, I feel like is kind of in the offing. I feel like we're creating a nice database and repository of hunger amongst young people. You know, I know at least a couple of them actually are my patrons who are, university graduates or literally in the last year of uni who've started their own channels, and very, very brilliant people who've started excellent channels. You know, I already gave a shout out to Kapruki yesterday. You know, really, really brilliant individuals, Trill Black, youngsters who are very, very good, very capable, who have started, and their researching capabilities are second to none. So I'm really, maybe naively, but I'm very, very optimistic about our future ownership of our knowledge. I don't think we're going to be relying on education systems in a very short period of time for us to get the knowledge of our history. I think the knowledge that will be out there will be sufficient. I really do believe that, and I really do believe that people will. I think it's happening. That's me being, that's kind of like my bottom line on that. I do think it's the case, and I think naturally it's got to spill into important areas like archaeology. I've got a very big dream. I've always had the dream that I'm going to excavate Lake Nasser. That's one of the things I want to do. I want to see what they flooded, and I'm going to not just hope, but I'm going to believe that we're going to be able to restore a lot of what lies beneath that lake, amongst other things. I've also got a few mounds in Nigeria that I have a feeling have pyramids beneath them. So all in God's time, I feel like these things will come to pass. But I feel like the next generation are going to have a completely different connection with their history than perhaps the one that we were born with. It's going to be like growing up in that in that generation's time. It's going to be like, yeah, well, of course we talking about. Of course we built pyramids. There's pyramids all over Africa. Like history all over Africa. Like what are you talking about? Like, we're African. We're great. That's what I feel like our future is. Hey Nada, you're back. Okay. I can't hear you, but I can see you. So it's a good step one. Boom, 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 boom. Let me go to your audio settings. Okay, you got a few different audio options. Do you want to try one of the different ones? There we go. I can hear you. What's that?
Hello.
Yeah, loud and clear. Perfect.
Great.
Okay, cool. You're back. You got a little bit of a sepia.
So sorry about that.
No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We got a bit of a sepia tone going on. We've got more people than when you left. So there you go.
Great.
Don't worry. It's had a positive effect. Let's go. Okay, we're back. We can carry on playing. So let me just bring this back a few seconds, and we're back and rolling. So let's go.
Preserved this African building technique unbroken for at least 8,000 years, when we have first evidence of such buildings in ancient Nubia. Living in harmony with the Nilotic ecosystem, locals utilized an ancient tool called the shadoof to raise water. This simple mechanism, used since pharaonic times, consisting of a bucket attached to a rope at the long end of a wooden pole, resting on a fulcrum with a counterweight, was often used, but not at the exclusion of the more simplistic act of bailing water as demonstrated by these Nubian women. The sustainable nature of the native people is reflected in their use of readily available materials, which kept the shadoof practical and in balance.
Just want to pause it there. That still really moves me. I don't know why it is, but I had to get that still in, just with this little boy. Just I don't know what it was about this still, but I just loved it so much. It just felt like, guess where in Africa this is. You're just like, what? I have no idea. Just, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I just love that one. I thought I need to get that and make sure I get at least 3 or 4 seconds of that still in the mix. Just because there's so much culture going on there. You got the woman, carrying the goods on her head, which is obviously just, that's a native African thing. I know they do it elsewhere. I'm not gonna say they only do it in Africa, but it's still a very native African practice. It's just something so wholesome about this scene that just kind of like, I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
Connected in their use of readily available materials,
connection,
which kept the
Sorry,
shadoof
I'm trying to pause it. I got a delay. Go on. So go ahead.
No, it's okay. No, I was just agreeing. I was agreeing with you. It is beautiful.
Cool. And even this one, I mean, what a lovely place to pause it there. Just to see. It's like, this is, it's wonderful to see. There's been no manipulation here when I made this documentary. People have accused me of that, by the way. Oh, you've did it. I was like, well, I've just literally reposted the footage that was there. Okay, I'm sorry it offends you that this is what Egypt looked like 100 years ago, and I'm sorry it offends you that all of the people that happen to be preserving the Kemetic culture are black. I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do about that. That's just it's just how the footage is. I didn't manipulate it. I'm just not ignoring it, which is what you know. It's so easy and so convenient for them to ignore this, these stills like this, to ignore them and act like, and then turn around in the same breath that they're claiming Egypt was never black. They were never black. They were never black people in Egypt, this, that, and the other. And they'll say this literally to me, we don't care, Egypt was never black. There was no blacks in Egypt. And I'm like, but you're praising yourself for clearly things you can see African people are doing. Yeah, these are African. This is
African.
these African people, and you're praising. Oh, thank you, Met Music, because this is all from the Met Museum, by the way. If you didn't know, all this footage from the Met Museum. Thank you, Met Museum, for sharing our wonderful culture. No, this is African culture. Praise your African relatives and your African ancestors if you truly believe this is the land that you're from. But don't try and steal that from them. It's just the most bizarre thing.
And in balance with their ancient homeland. The Nubians have always prided themselves on the permanence of their society, which makes their current expulsion from the Nile Valley, due to the flooding of the Nubian plains, all the more heartbreaking. Before their homelands were flooded and Egypt's expanding, migrant population forced and concentrated the Nubian population south to Aswan and Sudan. During the time in which this video was recorded, there seemed to be a unanimous acceptance of the African ownership of the ancient Egyptian culture. This trend has changed recently with the rising international interest in tourism. This increasing dependency on the once shunned ancient Egyptian culture has prompted a shameful shift in rhetoric.
Can I ask you a question there with that? Because this is something that I picked up from a lot of people, and I kind of want to know to you like the truth of this, and that's that that exactly what I just said there, that basically not too long ago there was just a general kind of like acceptance among the population that, hey, ancient Egypt, that's a black thing, even the modern Egyptians kind of knew, oh yeah, that's kind of their thing, that's the black thing. But then Egypt became really popular and obviously really, financially gainful for their nation, and they realized, oh no, actually it's better that we claim it. It's better that actually we say it's our thing than say it's their thing. That's the kind of that's the impression, and at least from several conversations that I picked up, that used to be the case. Is that what's your knowledge of that? It'll be good to hear from you on that point.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the timelines of how things have happened, from this video to other things that were still showing the indigenous ways, the indigenous people of these lands, and then the shift, and you look at our governments, even in Egypt, a lot of the population in Egypt rely on the tourism of the lands, and it's, I can hear a feedback, but
I think you're okay here. Sorry if you can hear it.
No, it's okay. I think I'm gonna just do this. Yeah, so I think what is so frustrating when I'm looking at Nubia and I'm looking at Sudan is that we were very, very, very much in ownership of what we have, and we knew who we were, and we knew what was ours. But it's been years now and generations of these things, these artifacts, this history, this land has been taken away, and you can see how it's all been rooted in financial gain and this tourism flex, that even now people who are even Egyptian, Arab Egyptian, are suffering because a lot of the jobs available is so rooted in tourism, so people are on a hustle out there. they've hustled our history. That is what it is.
Mm.
And they continue to do that now, and they continue to exploit these areas and these regions for their own gain. And it,
That's such a good way to put it.
even if you look at the revolutions in Sudan have been very much for their land, even
Mm.
with Nubians. How many Nubians got arrested for trying to fight for their rights?
Mm.
It's and then ongoing things to this day where I have cousins who can't wear locks in school.
Mm.
it's it's been a long time of literally ripping us from our own identity, and I think it's been kind of a way for them to cover up this lie that they've had over
Mm.
these years for these people in the West. But I think all of us as Africans, we know we're all connected to Kemet.
Mm.
We all know that we have this connection to it. So I know, even when I've spoken to my other brothers and sisters, from Nigeria or Zambia or Kenya, it's like we all feel what is happening there.
Mm.
It's like we all have to kind of unite now as diaspora, and to know that these lands are for us, and understand the contribution that we've had in
Mm.
this world, not allow it to be continuously exploited anymore.
Mm. The veil, I think the veil is lifting. I think it's really bizarre because when you look back in history, kind of what's happened to melanated people globally, it's almost like we all had our memory wiped simultaneously, which is the weird
Yeah,
thing. It's like there's almost like a period where I guess it probably coincide. I think it coincided with. I think it coincided quite well timeline wise with the release of kind of like global free education. I think that I think our trust in education, and I think Africans were very trusting of education systems. So our trust, I think, in education was the mind wipe that took place
yeah,
because we instantly just, it seems, just absorbed that, and we thought that education was the be all and end all. We thought that was it. That's the most important thing, that we get educated, and we didn't realize that the education was actually mind wiping us and creating a separation. And I think one of the things that I mentioned before is that actually one of the most effective ways to mind wipe someone is just to stop talking about something. That's literally it. It just takes one generation in your family to not know or talk about your history, and your history's lost. That's it. It's just stop talking. And the thing about us, and we come from cultures where oral tradition is very important.
mm,
The oral tradition is very important. It's important that you share. It's important that you talk. You verbalize your history. You verbalize the
yeah,
understanding of who you are. But I think we all learned to just stop talking. We all learned to just stop talking, go and learn. Stop talking, read, you know? And that was actually the most effective
yeah,
way for them to basically wipe our memories, because what came after stop talking came the not believing. So now we've stopped talking. Now our parents tell us stories, or our grandparents tell us stories, and we don't believe them because it contradicts what we've been educated with. And that's when the mind wipe is super effective. But yeah, that's just a thought that I had. Obviously, I think um, there's more kind of like complicated arms and tentacles to that story, but it's just, I think that's one of the elements that definitely plays into that kind of collective mind wipe that took place.
yeah, yeah. I totally agree.
All right, let's play on.
Expressed in a push by many modern Egyptians to usurp the cultural ownership of ancient Egypt and actively deny any connection to this culture as belonging to the indigenous dark-skinned Nubians. This unfortunate behaviour is being taken up by many of the youth born out of ignorance.
Oh my gosh, I never noticed that before. Did you notice that before? That colossal of who's that in the back? That's the colossal of, is that Ramesses? I can't remember. I'd never noticed that
Yes, it is.
before.
Yeah.
Literally, I did not. I edited this video
I
and
just
I
noticed that
never noticed
too.
that before. Wow, just wow. So
And you know, there
This
is still celebrations when in December and in spring at the Upper Symbol Temple, even though of course it's been moved, there's still Nubians there who, you know, have celebrations at these temples. So I'm really, really, really happy that it's something that continues to happen today. And if you ever go to Egypt
yeah,
and get to go to Upper Symbol, I definitely recommend to try and go during these times because it's pretty amazing.
yeah, wow. I think we will go. We will go.
I've
It,
not. Yes.
on another note, on a side note, so Ramesses, I've got a theory. This could be totally wrong, by the way, because I'm not a linguist, but I've got a theory. So you know, I think I spoke about the fact that the Kenya Rwandan speakers, the Rwandan people, have Ramesses in their king list. So he's basically in their king list as one of their kind of like ancestral kings. So in their king list, they've got Ramesses and Ramesses the second. No, or was it Ramesses the second? No, they got Ramesses the second and Ramesses the third, I think. But they pronounce it Romezo. Okay, I'm not sure exactly how you think, but I know it's spelled like it's a Rameso or Romezo. So it has the Z, which I'm gonna just quickly pop in the chat quickly so you can see it. Now here's my theory. Yeah, once again, totally layman's terms, so correct me if I'm wrong. Well, my theory is that the double S, so you know the Rames in the hieroglyph, the cartouche for Ramesses, it has the double S, okay, and double letters is something that's quite rare in Kemetic anyway, isn't it? Like you won't really see like just two of the same phonetic glyphs next to
No.
each other, but they do it with the double S, and I think the double S is supposed to give you a Z sound. Because C's like SES, like they do to make it sound Greek, doesn't sound, to me it doesn't sound Kemetic, and it doesn't sound African at all to me. So I don't think Ramesses is the name. I think his name was Romezo. I think the two S's above each other give you the Z sound. Another reason why I think that as well is because the glyph is kind of just like a straight line with two little notches in the middle, but it's like a straight line for the S. A straight line with two little notches in the middle. If you put one on top of the other, it kind of looks like a Z. And actually most most of the Latin script that we have actually descends from Kemetic hieroglyphs. Most of it. I'm actually going to do a video on it because I've done some really good research on it. But a majority of Kemetic, a majority of the Latin script that you have in the English language, A to Z, most of it actually descends from the hieroglyphs, with some of it kind of passing through Phoenician before it got there, but most of it descends directly from hieroglyphs. And I'm gonna do a video exposing that. But I think that the two S's is pronounced Z. It is the long and short of it is. So I'm gonna need to get further proof, but that's the theory I'm riding with at the moment. Yeah. Anyway,
unfortunate behaviour
Yeah, I
is
think
being taken
Sorry.
up by many of the youth born out of ignorance.
no, because I just wanted to add, because I'm like in the midst of trying to learn the Nubian languages right now. When I hear it because obviously there's the dominant language in these areas right now is Arabic, but when you hear the Nubian language, it's how can the phonetics or the way in which the words are put together, it almost feels like a mixture of languages that I've heard before. Like, it, let me give you an example because I got some new words that I was learning today. And because we're on live, I really want to push people to use words and be intentional with the words that we're using. So let me just. So Anina is brother. Um, and Aneti is full moon. So I think the way the words are put together, they don't sound particularly Greek, or you
Mm,
can see how languages like English and Arabic, you see where things have been influenced. And even with the language, so in Sudan, it has a different dialect, and it's not like a lot of the Arabic countries. It's very unique in its way. It's because it has taken an adaptation of the
mm,
Nubian languages as well. So a lot of people find it difficult to understand the Sudanese Arabic, but then a lot of people want to learn the Sudanese Arabic as well because they
mm,
understand that there's this mixture in within it.
mm. I was asking you the other day about the um the Nubian language, and you said you're kind of in the process of learning it, right? I'd love
Yeah,
to. I think one of the things we spoke about earlier is that it's kind of like a lost or a language that we need to do some work in terms of doing some documentation behind it, because it's quite at risk, isn't it, from your perspective?
yeah, yeah. It is. It definitely is, and there's still people teaching it,
Mm,
and there's still people travel to learn. You've got Germans, Switzerland people, all of these different people that come to Aswan and try and learn
mm,
the Nubian languages. But when it comes to the community and the people who live in these regions, more people speak Arabic than they do speak Nubian, and you kind of find the Nubian languages more heavy in the elder generation.
mm.
So
Yeah, I think there's a debate going on about Kemet Queen. Oh God, sorry, I paused on the wrong frame. People are debating about whether I just need to get off the screen. I don't know what your thoughts are on young Kemet Queen. I got this thing when people are young. I just genuinely always try and reach out for them, and I feel really sorry for them. I was actually shown my Discord the other day that I reached out to her on TikTok, and she read them because it shows read receipts on TikTok. I reached out to her and said, look, let's do a live stream together. Like, tell me your beefs. Do you understand what I mean? Like, I want to hear, because I actually feel like there might be some ground to made, but I think like she knows her audience. She wants to make, you know, build her build her kind of like fame in kind of like being outrageous and defaming, you know, and degrading black people as much as possible, which is really sad, because I think there's always potential for us to kind of like learn from each other, so to speak. I'm very confident in holding the discussion about African Kemet, because it's like an easy one for me to have. But I guess, yeah, some people don't feel the same level of confidence in what they believe. I don't know. What's your thoughts? Have you
I'm
seen any
curious.
of her videos?
No, I'm really curious.
Oh
I'm
no, don't
really
be.
curious
Don't be. She's
now.
getting too much promotion right now. I'm just gonna keep it moving. I just I popped her in there. It's
Of
only supposed to
Egypt's
pop on the
true
screen for a
history.
second.
But, as with the very statues and artifacts, the evidence is here in black and white for the world to see that ancient Egypt is almost exclusively reflected in Egypt's native melanated African population, in both appearance and culture.
So I'm just gonna say really quickly, the purpose of this video was not to say. I know I called this "When Egypt Was Black," but it was originally not supposed to be called that. That was, I'm gonna confess to the audience, that was clickbaity. Okay, it was never supposed to be called that. It was supposed to be called something along the lines of when ancient Egyptian culture was practiced by the Nubian population. That was supposed to be something like that, but obviously that just won't people won't click on that. So I'm always kind of like having to think, okay, what's the best way to get people to click? So I called it "When Egypt Was Black." It wasn't supposed to be called that, but the purpose of this video was not to say all of Egypt was black, because I don't think that was the case. I think Egypt, demographic wise, wasn't miles away from where it is now, i.e. there was more black people and they had more prominence, but there's still massive amounts of kind of like the modern Egyptian population. But the point of the video was to say, where you see ancient Egyptian practices being preserved, it's always by the black population. That was the point. So that was the point of the video, was to say, yes, there is ancient Egyptian culture. Yes, it is being preserved. Yes, it is being practiced. But these are the people who are practicing it. And the rest of the population are entirely disconnected from it. And I even show the footage of the people in Cairo doing what people in Cairo do now. You know, they're in their cities and they're doing this and that, but they have no connection to the Nile. They have no interest in the Nile. They have no interest in the practices. They have no interest in the land. They have no interest in, you know, the sustenance of the, you know, of the land and the connection. They just want to, like you said, hustle. Do you know what I mean? And make money in the city, which is fine. That's what you're doing. But don't then do that and then also try and claim the cult, you know, the culture, which so many people have tried to do. People have tried to hit me up and go, oh, well, you know, we do the culture. And I'm like, what culture do you do? And they're like, oh, yeah, it's like you don't have any culture. Like, no disrespect to you, but you don't practice any of these cultures. So don't claim it because it looks cool and now everybody wants to be ancient Egyptian, because I guarantee you 100 years ago, you were calling all of these people tribal. Yeah, that's what you were doing. That's what your ancestors were doing. They were pointing your finger at, before ancient Egypt was cool. You're looking at all of these African behaviors and calling them, oh, look at these primitive Africans doing their primitive African stuff. But now ancient Egypt's cool. You want to put the primitive hat on and go, yeah, no, we were all primitive together. No, we weren't. We weren't all primitive together. Yeah. That's this. These are African cultures that are being practiced here. So either respect the Africans that are in your country now, or don't. That's your choice.
Yeah.
I'm gonna press play.
Hollywood and global cinema have played a significant role in shaping perceptions of ancient Egypt. Films like Cleopatra, The Mummy, The Prince of Egypt, and Gods of Egypt continue to significantly influence how people view ancient Egypt, often blending historical facts with modern politics,
You know what?
fiction, and fantasy. These portrayals...
I think people don't really realize how much people learn from these movies. I've spent a lot living in the UK, spent a lot of time trying to justify where I'm from. And the most reaction that I get is, oh, but you don't look Egyptian, or like, I don't look Arab, or what the modern day Egyptians look like. And it's really flipped people. I don't think even people really realize. And I can't even get angry for their ignorance is their ignorance, but it's just funny how that has reflected even in my environments and just introducing myself. It's quite wild. But yeah, I just wanted to...
No, you're right. It's and I think it's very deliberate, because they make sure they have these kind of touch points at every stage of life. So you got the Prince of Egypt for the kids, yeah. You got the Gods of Egypt for the youngsters. You got the old classics. They make sure that there's always a steady stream of Egyptological bullshit being fed into the population. So we're never ever more than 10 years separated from another release, The Mummy or something, where they'll just inject us with some fresh, you know, white Egypt, or, you know, whitey Arab Egypt images. They make sure we just have this kind of steady, unbroken... They're very, very systematic about it. Egypt is very important. It's very important. This is the thing. And I realized that you'll see when I release my video about phonetics and the modern alphabet and how indelibly it's linked to ancient. You're going to. It's starting to dawn on me that they've tricked us into thinking everything's separate. So they fooled everyone to thinking, oh yeah, well these people came up with this, and actually, if you just go through history, you realize that most of the known world. When I say the known world, I'm talking about those three kind of like continents that touch each other: Europe, Asia, and Africa. That entire region has got a very, very clear path of how its history developed from Africa. And this is kind of like relatively modern times, from Africa through ancient Egypt and out to Europe and Asia. And it's proven linguistically, it's proven culture, like there's a very clear path. So they know where they got everything from. It's actually not hidden. So if you're a linguist, linguists know where the entire alphabet came from. It came from the Afro-Asiatic. Every single letter came from the Afro-Asiatic script. Every single letter. So they know how important it is to keep this kind of like illusion going. It's one of the things. It's like we're not going to talk about Egypt, but when we do talk about Egypt, we'll make sure that we A, undermine it, keep it separate, and B, make sure it's white as possible. Those are two things we have to do all the time. Make it white and undermine it. Those are the two things that they constantly do. You know, it's really interesting.
Yeah.
Trails, while entertaining, often alter the perception of the ancient Egyptian population in the minds of the general public, and this in turn has greatly affected the behavior of the modern citizens of the region, who attempt to carve the modern paradigms of caste and racialism and falsely manipulate it into an ancient context. Interestingly, what this footage proves is prior to this rise in Egyptomania, the non-Nubian population had very little interest in or knowledge of the ancient Egyptian culture as a whole. This is a stark contrast to the...
I included this really importantly because I think I had a couple of messages being like, oh, Cairo looks exactly the same now as it did then. And I was like, yeah, that was the point. I think you missed the point of the video. Okay, I was pointing out that even back then, okay, there are a few more kind of like melon, but I think even Cairo is like that to this day. Cairo is very mixed. And I said populations in Cairo are totally disconnected from indigenous cultural practices. I wanted to really illustrate that point. Cairo back then is the same as Cairo now. Okay, it's a metropolis. Every nation has them. This is not a dig or a kind of like a way to undermine people who live in Cairo and work in Cairo, whose families are raised in Cairo, but it's a disconnected population. So this footage doesn't tell you anything about ancient Kemet. It just tells you about Egypt, modern Egypt. It's the same as modern Egypt. So that's the reason I include this footage. And also another reason I included it is because one of the things that kind of like people
modern
try to
Egyptian
accuse
population,
of, oh, well,
who
there's
call themselves pharaohs.
They
often
only
at the
look dark because it's black and white footage, but you can see that no, there's people of all skin tones here. Okay. The people look dark because they were dark. Okay, it's nothing to do with black and white footage. Okay, you got people of multiple skin tone, just like you have in modern Cairo. There are light-skinned, many light-skinned Egyptians you will see here, like modern light-skinned Egyptians, but the dark ones are dark because they were dark, and that's all there is to it. So, yeah, it's important for me to kind of include this footage as well.
Yeah, it's good. Definitely,
Sorry.
it is the metropolis, just like any city. So yeah, I totally agree. Just I think I always end up relating it to like being a city girl living in London. You have these multicultural areas, but I think it's just a bit different when it comes to metropolis cities in many African countries, because you've got that, and then you've got the rural indigenous areas, the more areas where people have stayed, where they have been nurturing their lands and things. So
Exactly. And I don't doubt there's probably people in, like, obviously, maybe even in your family, they want to go to Cairo to work, to make some money, to send it back. Like, we know how it goes. There's always that kind of major city that you can migrate to and
Yeah.
Yeah, build something, but the cultural, where the culture stays, where the people have that grounding, that kind of, yeah, that connection to the land. That's what was supposed to be what was being communicated in this video, and you could see quite clearly they just set their cameras up in basically in as one and just hit record, and that's where they captured all of that Kemetic culture. And
Yeah.
it would just be lovely. You know what would be lovely to me, because I've said this to you before, it would be lovely for me if the modern people of Egypt just acknowledge that. That's it. Just acknowledge that. Say, look, these people, just like they
Yeah.
used to, these people are the ones connected to ancient Egypt. It's not to say that you're invaders. It's
Mm-hmm.
not even to say you don't even carry that blood. Do you understand what I mean? You could say, my ancestors were. If you're gonna say I'm Egyptian and I'm related to Kemet, you can absolutely say that, because you might have one ancestor, you know, that is Nubian or Kemetic. Yeah, then one ancestor is enough. That you might be 5%. If you're 5% and you live in the land, who am I to tell you that you're not Kemetic? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, you're there and you carry the blood. Like, cool, you're there, you carry the blood. But where there's kind of like we come to loggerheads is the fact that they then try to deny, and actually in the face of the truth try to deny and say these black people who clearly are the custodians of this culture have got nothing to do with it, and they looked like us. It's like, why? That's it's just like my mind, it boggles. Honestly, my mind boggles. It's like you can clearly see that these people in the south are literally like spitting images of these images that you guys are parading. You know for a fact that these are the correct people, and you're trying to steal
Yeah.
their culture. I mean, I can't. Yeah, it's hard for me to understand for someone to get to that point in life where they're happy to do that. It's really hard. It's bizarre for me. It's weird.
Yeah.
How are you feeling? Because it's 12:30, and we've been going since 10.
No.
We don't have to finish, because
It's
I'm good. Like 2.5 hours is a long slog for me. So
yeah,
should
yeah.
we wrap it up?
Maybe yeah. And maybe we could do a part two because
Yeah,
I
I've
think,
gone.
like you said, Egypt is something that we should all be kind of keeping. Egypt, Sudan is something we should all be keeping an eye on.
Mm,
Congo and many of these other
mm,
places are places is collective diaspora we need to keep an eye on.
mm.
And I'm just really grateful that you brought me on here and we were able to do this because
I'm grateful that you came
I
on.
think yeah, I'm really, really grateful, and I will definitely keep sharing more of the language and all of that side of things. So
No, it's been
yeah,
an absolute pleasure, and I will be hitting you up regarding the language, because yeah, I've got a very intensive study that I want to release quite soon. So yeah, I'll be hitting you up. But thank you for coming on the channel, guys. If you're still with us, thank you. We've got 230 or so still with us. If you're still with us, before you disappear, please do hit up the likes. We need to share Nuba Nada's channel. We need to share your channel. So let me see if I
yeah.
can find a link. Guys, if any of my admins, actually anyone in the chat has got her channel link, can you pop it in? If not, I'll try and find it now. In fact, let me pull it up on the screen. But hit up the likes in the meantime. And I'm going
I just want
to,
to plug
yeah, go on.
my fundraiser, of course, because
Yes.
this is the whole reason why I went on to YouTube anyway. So
Mm,
I I started a fundraiser to support regions, and that has now developed to wanting to build a school. Uh, sorry, I'm just got. But I'm also still trying to find other ways to make these regions more sustainable as they were before, not reliant on you know, systematic resources. If and yeah, if you follow my YouTube channel, my link for that is in the description. So please check it out, and I will be sharing that journey on my YouTube channel, of course, as well. So yeah, just wanted to add that in
No,
there.
thank you. Give me some links. I'll share them. I'll probably do a
Yeah.
post following this live stream on the community, guys. So just kind of keep an eye out for that, where I'll kind of put some links to this. I'll plug this live stream, but I'll also plug some of thank you. Someone's put it in there. Joy, thank you so much. That's so kind of
Oh,
you.
thank
Joy's popped it in the chat.
you.
So there's a link to new in fact, maybe I might need to copy that to make it a hyperlink. Can I copy it? Will it let me yeah, well, I'm gonna just copy and paste that, because I think only I and the moderators can hyperlink. Yeah, there you go. So it's hyperlinked now. Thank you very
Great.
much for that, Joy. So I've shared her new YouTube channel. Please do hit her up with some subscriptions. You can hopefully spend some time with her now. You can see the kind of spirit that she has, and how important she is to us continuing to reveal and uncover the truth of our history. So I've had an amazing time. It's late. It's 2.5 hours, but it went really quickly, apart from the technical hiccups, which seem to be unavoidable these days. But thank you again so much for coming on the channel. And thank you, my wonderful community, for having the most popping chat that I've ever seen. I didn't have a chance to even keep up with it. I will rewatch this and I'll go through the chat and I'll see what everyone's had to say. But it looks like people have had a good time. If you have had a good time, hit up the likes. Let me know you had a good time. And yeah, me and Nada will definitely have a part 2. Maybe we'll do something different for part 2. We could finish watching this video. We could
Yeah.
do something completely different. But I'll definitely have you back on the channel. That's without a doubt. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Cool.
Always.
And a lot of love and subscriptions and whatnot coming through on the chat as well. So yeah, they definitely
Oh,
like you.
yay. Thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to close the stream down now. Hit up some likes and stuff. And make sure you leave some kind comments on Nada's channel. And good evening to everyone.
Peace, peace, peace.
Bye.